she's not doing some hocus pocus on us. She's actually got some science fundamentals in the background.
Hello everyone and welcome to Meet the Coach. I'm your host Carla Egan, and today we're talking to the coach with the rainbow hair. Our coach today is not your typical coach, I'm here to tell you. She has a psychology background, a PhD in neuroscience. She has not one but 4 coaching certificates and is accredited across 2 behavioural profiling tools. Our guest today is Dr. Simone Boer from A Fresh Approach Consulting and Coaching. And Simone joins us from Victoria. Welcome, Simone.
Thanks, Carla. What do I say to an intro like that?
Turn around and show us your colour of your hair.
Sure, hang on.
Oh yeah, it is rainbow coloured hair. Look, it's so great to have you on our series because you do actually have a really varied background. You've got a career that's spanned from neuroscience to academia, and you've even had quite a long stint working in government. And as a strategist and a coach, what really intrigues me is your use of brain hacks, to help organisations, to help teams, to help individuals to become unstuck. And I love the sound of that, and I'm really keen to find out more about it in our interview today. But I'd love to start by asking you, what made you become a coach in the first place?
So for myself, I was always interested in how the brain worked. So you're sitting in the library as a 15-year-old going, what am I going to do with my life? And I went, I'm going to go down the psychology pathway. And so I went down the psychology pathway and the neuroscience pathway, and I realized that maybe that wasn't quite for me. And if we're talking about 20 years ago, the study of psychology and neuroscience at that time, and really it was a depreciative model, that there's something wrong with you. Seligman and the idea around positive psychology wasn't even there, and coaching wasn't even really a field at that time. I'd never come across this idea of coaching. So once I'd worked out that the neuroscience and psychology pathway wasn't quite for me, I switched careers and I bounced around a little bit. But one of the key points as to why I got into coaching was that I myself had an amazing coach about 10 years ago. And after the first session, I just went, whoa, what has happened to me? And basically in that very first session, she fundamentally changed my perception of the world. Now, this is easily after 10 years of study of psychology and neuroscience. And I just went, I know all about the brain. I know about psychology. I know about behavior change, but what has just happened to me now? And it was done in such a simple way of asking questions. So I just literally started to drink the coaching Kool-Aid at that point, because it literally is like an elixir and a Kool-Aid. And I went, how powerful is this technique to ask a question that will fundamentally shift, shape, change not only a person's mindset, perception, but also their world? And I went, that's what I want. And coaching is really about that positive view, a person being able to fulfill all of what they are and their potential. And I went, that's what I want to be in. And that's what essentially drove me through to coaching.
I love your journey, and I love the progression that you've made, and obviously you've had a personal experience with it, which makes it even more powerful, and you've just described the power of coaching in your experience. Now, there's plenty of coaches out there, Simone, and you identify yourself as a neurocoach. Now, for people that are, following our Meet the Coach series, what does that mean? Can you just explain that, please?
So a neurocoach is essentially where I've blended my 10 years of study and work in neuroscience, and my PhD, the doctor, is from my study and work within neuroscience. And I've blended that with coaching techniques and I've put them together. So I'm not your typical coach of just asking questions. I have these various tools and a huge amount of tools in my toolkit, which I term brain hacks. And the really special thing about them is that I actually blend what is actually going on in your brain in a really simple term for clients so that they themselves can go, well, she's not doing some hocus pocus on us. She's actually got some science fundamentals in the background that can help us learn not only about how we think, but also about how our brains and our bodies as well.
You touched on the key word that I'm keen to dive into, which is the brain hacks, right? And you mentioned that you got this toolkit on the side. Can you share with us, if it's appropriate, what are some of these tools that you talk about? Can you give us an example of a brain hack that perhaps you've helped somebody else with?
Yeah, not a problem. So before I tell you what a brain hack is, I'll give you the lead up to a brain hack. Now, our brains are lazy creatures, absolutely lazy. And if our brains can take a shortcut, it will. And the reason for that is our processing within our brains requires an incredible, intense amount of power from our body. So much so that it has been mapped over 188 different shortcuts that our brain will take over time. So if you think about that, 188, that's a lot of shortcuts that our brain takes. So therefore, how I see the world and how I perceive the world is going to be completely different to how you see the world, Carla, and all the audience, and how you perceive the world. And any type of experience, I will see it differently and you will see it differently. You will have your own truth, I will have my own truth. But the question is, what really is a truth as such? So these brain hacks are designed to basically cut through the shortcuts that your brain has made. And these shortcuts have been with us since basically we've been born and as the world forms around us. So these brain hacks, or the tool sets that I have, is aimed to cut through those shortcuts that our brain has made of the way that we view and we experience the world. And a really simple one of what a brain hack tool is visualization. So it's a meditation, for example, and what we do is we drop our beta brainwaves into our alpha brainwaves, and that opens the gateway to our subconscious. Now, the really interesting thing is we think we are consciously making decisions all of the time, but we're not. 99% of our decision making is actually made subconsciously. So a visualization is a really simple tool, for example, to actually go into our subconscious and to start to reframe the way that our subconscious views the world and therefore our decision making as well.
Fascinating. 188 shortcuts. So the brain hacks are really around identifying those shortcuts that maybe don't serve us, that are not adding value, that maybe we want to change. Or can you introduce like a new brain hack if you wanted to form a new habit or change something? Is that how it works, Simone?
Absolutely, 100%. To the point where I was doing a recording yesterday talking about the masks that we wear and the identity that we have. And I was literally put on the spot to utilize a visualization, and I literally made it up then and there in order to create a visualization around our own perception of identity and the masks that we may wear. And that particular brain hack that I made up resulted in the host going, holy crap, I've got to sit with this for the next 3 weeks as I unpack what the hell just happened to me there.
I love it. I really love the scientific approach that you've taken. And it's not just coach training, you've got a psychology background and a neuroscience background. So we're talking about the brain hacks. Who do you work with, and why do people come to you? Can you give us for those that are listening that are intrigued as much as I am about neurocoaching and what you do, because it's very niched. Can you give us a flavour of that, please?
Essentially, the people who are attracted to me, or who I put out for, is people who are stuck. And when I say stuck in their career. So I work with a lot of corporate clients, and when we talk about stuck in their career, I've had over 8 career transitions. So I know a little bit about getting uncomfortable with yourself in terms of career. But not only stuck in their career, they may be stuck in their life. And they're only just starting to build an awareness for that. In terms of the corporate area, I also work with teams who are essentially running the same program or the same narrative for the last how many years. So I work with teams as well to get them unstuck. So it's really anyone who feels stuck in their career and wants to make a shift forward, up, down, sideways, completely different career stream. Someone who is stuck within their life. So essentially they're the people which most of us can probably say, yeah, we've been there at some point, who are the passenger on their ship, but not the captain. And in a similar way, that's the same with organisations. They've gone on a journey and they're essentially a passenger on their ship, but they're not the captain.
I like that metaphor. And you really want everyone to be rowing, going in the same direction. And I can see how your brain hacks would change that perception and that thought process and change those shortcuts. I haven't heard that before. Now, part of your career has been a strategist at a very high level, and you've combined that a little bit with coaching. So I'm going to ask you, with your strategist hat on, what does the next 10 years mean for you and your business? I'm sure you've thought about it.
I actually have a 10-year vision and a 10-year plan, and I've broken it all the way down to the next 3 months. But really what I'm about is to create breakthroughs so that people can live their best life, and whatever they term their best life is. So over the next 10 years, I ultimately want to create a movement. And that movement is a movement of people who are living much more in alignment with themselves. When I say themselves, it's their true self. This is the same with organisations as well, so that organisations come back down into what are they here for? What is their purpose? And having created those breakthroughs so that they themselves can literally pivot off that. So when we look at the next 10 years, I'm looking at creating essentially a movement from a global perspective of people living in true alignment with themselves. And I truly believe that from my perspective, and one of my values is really around creating a better world. And so that's, I guess, what I'm looking for from a legacy piece, is to ensure that the world that I've come into is left better from a society perspective of people living in alignment with themselves and organisations living in alignment with their true being as to why they are here. And that's my way of being able to create a better world.
What a wonderful legacy. And, it's about making a difference, about having that purpose. And there is a movement already starting to happen. I see it through the younger generation that are more globally focused. It's less about them. It's about others and the environment, the Me Too movement, inclusion, diversity. So I think you're really on the cusp of riding that wave, which is fabulous. And we're delighted to have you as a member on our directory. And with that in mind, you are a member on the coaching directory. What does joining the directory mean for you and your business, Simone?
For me, I had some hesitation. I'll be really honest about that. I did have some hesitation joining the coaching directory. And the reason for that hesitation was I went, well, how is the coaching directory going to be any different to any of the literally hundreds of platforms of coaches out there? And I had to sit with that for a little bit. And what I came to understand and what I am seeing coming to life now is that the coaching directory is a professional platform of professional coaches. And there's some significant hoops that you have to, jump through in order to be able to be listed on the coaching directory. And even someone like myself with all of the qualifications that I have had to jump through those hoops. So for me, being listed on the coaching directory is being listed alongside peers of what I would call quality. It is also about the fact that it's getting more and more known by the day around a platform that really lists quality coaches, certified coaches, and to be based in that. And so for me, what I see this is a positioning for my business to enable people to see the quality of my business. But not only that, it's a referral arm as such to enable my ideal clients to come through to.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And we're delighted to have you on our directory and doing brain hacks with your clients as well. It's been an absolute pleasure to interview you, Simone, our rainbow coach. And look, it does bring us to the end of our interview today. And I would like to thank Simone for joining us today. I really love diving a bit deeper into what you do. And I'd also, as always, like to thank you for watching and listening to our Meet the Coach series. If you enjoy our show, please like and review us and be sure to catch us in the next episode. This is Carla Egan from the Coaching Directory, where we connect you to your ideal coach. Bye for now.